to a highest boiling temperature and we focus that steam on a burning fire, it will extinguish. Basically, even though we change the physical shape of water from ice to water to steam, its basic quality of shitalata doesn't go. It doesn't get changed. It doesn't get impacted by the physical condition of that object, which is, in this case, we are taking as a water. So in whatever form it is there, it is in a form of a human, it is form of a animal, it is form of a fish or a bird or a cow or any animal. The soul does not get impacted by the shape of the body, by the color. So here the word kill has come. So this kill, we will try to understand what does it kill. If it cannot be killed and it cannot be a killer. So soul cannot kill as there is no self in it. When any killing happens, whenever there is any killing happening, what happens is that there is one material body and then there is another material body. There can be a situation where there may not be a material body, like killing the thoughts. You kill the thoughts or you kill the culture of one group, one ethnicity. There it is not a material body, but it is connected to the material body. So killing means we understand that there is one separate body and then there is another body which may be material or a non-material body. The killing happens when one of the separate thing operates, acts, reacts, overcome the other body. In that case, the killing happens. The procedure of killing is that there is two separate bodies, which may be material body, like a human is killing an animal or a human is killing another human. But there are two separate things, and so one is killing the other. Why Atma cannot be killed or it cannot be a killer? Because Atma is not a separate thing. Atma is the same. In a Atma there is nothing like a self, because it is part of the complete big envelope which is Paramatma, and we have separated from that. So a Atma, because a Atma doesn't have a self, a Atma cannot think anything which is other. So a Atma cannot kill or cannot be killed. Let us take an example of it. It is little difficult to understand. So we'll take some more examples on it. So and in further sloks also it is going to come. So number one part is that because when we die, our Atma is going out and it is taking a rebirth, as we will see in the further slokas. But because when we die, we say that, oh, Mr. So-and-so has gone. So what is gone? The physical body is still there. It is the same physical body, wearing the similar clothes and everything is there. But we say that the person has departed. The person has gone. So what has departed? And we say that that person has departed, means identity of that person has gone. That means Atma is our identity and not the body. Even though we talk about it in a very normal language, day-to-day language, but we have to understand what it actually means. That means that when somebody has departed, that means the body is here, but the soul part of that person has departed. And because the soul has departed, and we say that that person has departed, that means our identity is our soul and not our body. And in the same way, not our belongings, not our whatever we have, not what we own. And because it is not a physical object, in any way it cannot be killed. Because when it goes or it comes, in either way, in a birth or a death, it cannot be it cannot be physically held in a constrained condition, and it cannot be killed. So in that way also a Atma cannot be killed. But here we have to understand the self and the non-self part. Because soul cannot be killed, why soul cannot be killed? Because it is not a self. It doesn't have anything as a self. And because there is no self, there is no other. When we say that this is myself, that means there is another who is the other self. When there is no myself, there is no other self. And when there is no other self, when we say that there is no other self, what does it mean? Means akyatmata. So what is it? It is part of the Ansh, the Paramatma, who is omnipresent. That means Atma is a part of the omnipresent God, and that is why it has got no self, and that is why there is no other self, and so it cannot be killed. We cannot, when there is no one self or the other self, in that psychological analysis also, we cannot kill a soul. Because if there is a self, then we can kill it. There are two different selves, and one self kills the other self. But when there is no other self, there is no killing happening. So that way, even philosophically also, we can understand that a Atma cannot be killed, or it cannot be a killer. It is explaining us the connection with the omnipresent Paramatma. And it is telling us the Ekatmatavad, seeing oneness in all, including oneself. It is accepting the entity of others, but it is not seeing it different than oneself. So we can say that, oh, but there are two different bodies. In one Atma in this, the other Atma is this. So there are two separate Atmas. But for an Atma, there is no separate, because it can change from body to body. That way also, so this proves that believing and following this principle in life will bring the harmony and unity in the society, in the universe. See, imagine that when there is no one self, when the people can think and understand and then react beyond oneself, the whole problem of selfishness, the whole problem of atrocity, the whole problem of oppressing the other people will be gone, because we see oneness in everyone, which include human, animals, birds, everything. When it goes beyond, when it goes way much further, the whole Murti Puja, the idols which we see in the temple, is also based on that. We see God in a stone. Otherwise, one who is not, who may not have got exposure to these thoughts, will see that, oh, it is a stone. Why are you praying a stone? But we don't see stone in it. We see God in it. That is what Sanatana Dharma is. That is why we have got the idol worship. One of the reasons why we have got idol worship. Because for a embodied soul, it is very difficult for a common man to understand the concept of the soul and oneness in the world. So, one of the method is Murti Puja, and that is why we have got the idols made of stone or wood or metal, and we say that, oh, this is God. We do not say that God is only there. We say that God is here also. That means the oneness. One who can see God in a stone will definitely be seeing the God in animals, and then there will not be any question of environmental problem. We say there is a lot of environmental problem. We say, oh, there is a animal cruelty. All that will stop the moment this thought of oneness will go into society. So this is a solution to today's world, where people are trying to pressurize and power over each other. But the question arises that in that case, should we not fight for our existence? Should we not defend ourselves? Should we not protect the righteous and fight for the truth? So what is the fighting? What is the work then we have to do? If there is all oneness, then how we can survive? Because we have to also, as an embodied soul, we have to survive. So we have to think about it also. And the answers will be coming in the further slokas. So we will go further in the sloka number 20. We will try to study, understand it more better. Now this sloka is a little different way of chanting than the other sloka. There are two different type of slokas, mainly in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and Anushtup Chanda, and the different chandas are there. So we have to chant it in that chanda. What is a method? Chanda means a method of chanting that, and the arrangement of vowels and syllables on the in the sloka. So this is a different way of chanting, and I will try to chant the sloka number 20 of chapter 2. Na jayate briyate va kadachi nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyah ajo nityam nitya shashvatoyam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. Na jayate mriyate va kadachi. Na jayate is not born. Mriyate means die. Kadachit, at any time. That means the Atma, the soul, is never born, neither it dies. Nayam bhutva bhavita vana bhuya. This is a very interesting part, and we will go a little bit detail in it. It is telling that it was never there, it is not now, and it will never be in future. The soul is neither born nor it dies, nor having once existed, and it doesn't ever cease to exist. It is without birth. It is eternal, immortal, and ageless. And it is not destroyed when the body is destroyed. Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. When the body is destroyed, the Atma doesn't get destroyed. And ajo nitya shashvata purana. There are so many words. Mriyate means dying. Jayate means getting born. Bhutva bhavita bhuyaha. In past, in present, and in future. Nayam. It never. Ajo. Nitya shashvata purana. It is continuous, it is eternal, and it is ageless. And it doesn't get killed when the body is killed. That is the meaning of this sloka. So, in this verse, the eternal nature of the soul is established. The soul is eternal. When something is eternal, we cannot say that it existed before. So, let us take one by one the word, the jayate, born. But we see the people getting born, so we can say that the Atma is born. But Atma is not the body as we understood. So, it is not born. It resides in the body. It resides in the new body. When anything is born, it resides into it. And because it resides into it, the light of the soul is making it alive. Now, let us see why it cannot be born or created. Let us take the example of different, the mechanisms of creation. When we say that something is created, either it can be a physical or an intellectual item. What is a creation? When a creation happens. So a creation can happen by assembling two different parts. Like automobile. We assemble parts and we say that, okay, we have created this car. Why? Because we brought so many parts together. Those parts work together. They correlate with each other, and that whole correlated part, the big size of the final product is a car. So car is assembled from different parts. But Atma doesn't have the parts. We cannot say that there is a different, or a part of the Atma is in my hand, or a part of the Atma is in my leg. Atma is everywhere in the body, just like the God is everywhere in the world, as omnipresent. So, when it is not in parts, it cannot be assembled. And when it cannot be assembled, the method of creation of assembly is not applicable to Atma. Another way of creation is transformation. When we transform, one material into another material by a transformation, by a physical or chemical reaction. It is transformed, and then we say that this new product has been created. Just like when we create when you cook at home. But in that case also, when it is transforming, it is from one physical object which has got its own qualities and characteristics to another physical object which has got its own qualities and characteristics. But because the soul doesn't have a physical existence, it cannot be transformed. It has still got its qualities within, even though it gets transformed in any other shape. Its qualities doesn't change. Just like a water, when it is turned into a ice or a water or a steam, it doesn't change its quality of shitalta, the coldness, the quality of extinguishing the fire. It doesn't change. That is why we cannot have a transformation of the soul. A physical existence will change, but the quality of shitalta remains as it is. In a similar way, the soul's quality will remain as it is. So we cannot say that we created a new form of soul, because it doesn't change its quality. It cannot be transformed. So how is it created? Or who created the soul? Did anybody create it? So to understand that, let us take one more example of copper. Imagine that there is a copper bar. Out of a mine, they take the ore out and then they do the smelting and all, and then they make a copper bar. Now there is a copper bar, and we cut that copper bar into multiple pieces. When we cut the copper bar into multiple pieces, each piece is still containing the same quality of the bar. Even though that piece has been separated from the main copper bar, that separate piece has got exactly the same qualities and characteristic what the main copper bar has. Although it looks like a different entity. If we melt it together again, it will again become a part of the copper bar. It looks as a different entity. In the same way, when we are separated from the Paramatma, as an Atma, we are still having the same qualities of Paramatma as a Atma. And that is why the great souls which identified this and experienced it and explained it, told Aham Brahmasmi. The feeling of Aham Brahmasmi, it's a very deep thinking and very high level further study. But that when we say that Aham Brahmasmi, I am the God, it is not told with the ego, it is not told with any superiority complex. It is told with the understanding that I am a unseparated part of the omnipresent God. Mriyate. Mriyate means dying. Now as we already understand, as we already see that when something cannot be born, naturally it cannot be killed. It cannot be killed. If something is born, if a car is made, then the car will eventually go bad and it will go into a scrapyard. But when it is not born, it is not either by transformation or by assembly, it is not created, the same qualities of that. Let us take the example of that same copper piece. Even though we pulverize it, we make the finest powder of it, even that powder will contain the same qualities of the main copper bar. So, in any case, it cannot be killed. The qualities, even at the atom level, will remain as it is, like the main copper bar. And we can also understand that from the science point of view, that the energy cannot be destroyed. The law of science says that we cannot destroy the energy. It can be converted into another form. So a soul can go into another form, which is an animal or a human or somebody, but it cannot be killed. It will not die because it doesn't exist in a physical form. and it is continuous. Now we will try to understand what it means about that sloka part, which says that Nayam Bhutva Bhavita Vana Bhuya, means it was never a situation before that it never existed. It is never that situation that it exists now, or it is never a situation when it is existing in future. So how this is, how does it make sense? So when we say something, so now the first example of Jayate and Mriyate was related to the physical or Dehatmavadi, means physical way of looking at the life. Now we are going to look at on the time scale of the life. So on the time scale, if we say that this existed before, that means either it doesn't exist now or it will not exist future. We in a time scale, we say that something was in history, that means it is not in now. And we say something is now, that means it may not be in past. Like we say that I have got a mobile phone now. That means I never had a mobile phone before either, or I had a different mobile phone, or there was not a mobile phone at all in the world. So, because soul is always present, we cannot identify it as a separate slot on a time scale. So, we cannot say that it was before or now or it is in future. A soul is, because it is eternal and immortal and ageless, we cannot define it or bifurcate it on a time scale. We cannot, and that is why the God is telling us here that it was never before, now and in future. It is ever existing. We cannot say it, the word was or is or will for the soul. We cannot say that word because it has got no boundary of time. Boundary of time is not applicable to the soul. Then the words are coming as Nitya and Shashvata. Nitya. Nitya does not mean now. Nitya means boundaryless from time. It is always there. And hence we cannot define its existence in relation to the time, because it is boundaryless. And Shashvata means immortal. It doesn't cease to exist. Soul does not cease to exist. It is eternal and continuous, and that is why it is Shashvata. Then the word is Purana. It is ancient. But doesn't ancient means past? When we say it is ancient history, that means it is a past history, no? So why God has explained it as ancient? Here the ancient word is explained in connection with the God. It is as old, or it is in existence as much before as the God. That is the meaning of the word Purana, ancient. It is not in connection with the time slot, but it is in connection with the God. Just like if out of a big copper bar, the example which we took a small piece out of it and we make a ring, we make a copper ring to wear on our finger. Those atoms in the ring are as old and as connected to the same copper bar even after so many years. Although because it is a physical example, we can still say that, oh, that copper bar was also existed in some other form, and it goes beyond because we are talking about the physical form. But when soul is not a physical, when we say it is ancient, it is not a reference to the time, but it is with reference to the God. As ancient the God is there, the same ancientness is applicable to the soul. That is why the word Purana. Purana word here, the ancient is not with reference to the time. It is told it is as old as God. It is as old as the Paramatma. But we see it being in form of many bodies. And we think that, oh, they have come and gone. Why? Because we are embodied soul, we think that something has come and something has gone with the body. But it is a body which is mortal, which is created, generated and destroyed. But the soul which resides in it just resides and go out of that residence, which is a body, at the time of death. We'll go further. This is a interesting concept, and we have to understand it. But this is trying to explain us in very clearly what we are. The biggest fear, one of the biggest fear in the people world is that of the death. I will cease to exist. What if I am not here? The fear of unknown, when I will die, what will happen? All this fear will not allow, as last time, a couple of weeks before we have seen, is that all this fear makes a very unpleasant feeling, a continuous worry in the mind of the people. And once a person is worried, once a person is having a continuous tension in the mind, whatever they have at present, they cannot enjoy. When we understand that our continuity is beyond the body, when we understand that our continuity is beyond the body, we will be happy ever. We will not be worried, and when we are not worried, we will be able to enjoy. The amount of resources which will always be less or more. We cannot have equal resources for everyone at every time. And even if it is there, people will not enjoy it. If I am a non-smoker, so if I am given a pack of cigarette and I am told that, okay, this is the one you smoke. So even though the resources are given to me, I will not be happy with that resource because I don't enjoy it. So even going by that also, giving equal resources to the people will not make a happy society. So we have to understand that we are continuous beyond the bodily thing, and then we will be able to bring the happiness, because we will not be worried about the dying part. So let us go to the 21st sloka. We will try to understand it further. Veda vinashinam nityam ya ena majama vyayam katham sa purushah partha kam ghatayati hantikam. God is again explaining it in a different word, same concept. Veda vinashinam nityam. Avinashi. Avinashi means imperishable. Cannot be perished. Veda. Veda means knows. One who knows that it is nityam, it is eternal, and it is imperishable. Ya ena enam. So ya means who, enam means the, ajam means unborn. Again, the God is telling it in a different way. Same thing to understand it more better. It is ajam, janma. The word janma means birth has come from this dhatu word of ajam. So ajam and avyayam. Avyayam means immutable, which cannot be muted. So here God is explaining the other qualities of the soul, that it is imperishable, it is eternal, it is unborn, it is immutable. Katham sa purusha partha. And that is what katham. Katham means how. So if it is a imperishable, eternal, unborn and immutable, katham sa purusha partha. Partha is the name of Arjun. He says, so in such case, kam ghatayati hantikam. If it is like this, how it can kill or it can be killed? If these are the qualities of the soul, how one who knows the soul to be imperishable, eternal, unborn and immutable can kill anyone or cause anyone to kill it? Avinashi, imperishable, one which cannot be vinash. Vinash means perish. Avinashi, imperishable. And avyayam, mutable. So, sometimes we say that, oh, if something cannot be killed, it can be muted. Its original, its formation, its qualities can be changed, like mutation in the genes. We say that some of the diseases are happening because there is a mutation of genes. When that mutation happens, the cancerogenic cells are created, mutation in the cells, and so a person dies. Perishable, something which decays. If we have got a fruit which is kept outside for a very long time, it perishes. It decomposes. It changes its physical and chemical characteristic. That is perishable. Because Atma, the soul, is not a physical object. It cannot be perished. It cannot change its form. It cannot be muted. It cannot, we cannot modify or change its characteristics and qualities. But in such case, we will have a question that sometimes we see good people and we see bad people. So when there is a good person or a bad person, does it mean that the soul in them is good or bad? Is it a bad soul? If that is the case, then it has got either a mutation or a different characteristic than other Atmas. So what is a good and bad person, and how the Atma resides in each of them? As we say, Atma resides in each of the body. So is the soul different in different person? And if the soul is same, like the copper metal, you make a ring or you make a bracelet, it is the same copper. So if the soul is same, then why they are so different? This question arises in our mind. So, just like we have got a mortal body, we have got a subtle body. Now, we will have to understand this. What is a subtle body here in a very short form? It's very deep thought about it, but understandable. The physical body is like, say for example, senses. If I have got a nose, so because I have got a nose, there is a physical nose as an organ, as a sense, which is the bone, the flesh, all the components as my nose. But there is a subtle body, which is the sense of sensing, the quality, the energy, or a sense which allows the nose to sense the fragrance. That energy or that quality is to sense is the part of the subtle body. And in the same way for all the organs. So even though the physical body is there, the subtle body, if it is not there, we cannot experience the fragrance. Even if the eye is there, but if the capacity to look is not there, then if the physical eye will not be able to show us the things in front of us. And also, the subtle body has got different senses. So, as only nose can sense the fragrance and the tongue can taste the food. If I want to say that, okay, my tongue will start, getting the fragrance, that will not be possible. So just like physical body in different senses, there is a subtle body and different senses within connected to it. And to maintain those things in parity and continuously talking with each other, we have got four other parts, which is Atma, the soul which we are talking, the Ahankar, the ego, the Man, which is Chit, mind, and the Chit, which is consciousness. So Adi Shankaracharya has created Nirvanashtakam. And in this Nirvanashtakam, he has explained this Manobuddha Hankara Chittani Naham. Means I am not the Man, I am not the Buddhi, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect. Ahankar, Manobuddha Hankar. Hankar is the ego and Chitta means the consciousness. So that is also the part of the subtle body. These things are separate in separate people, in different people. And that is why we see that there are some good people and some bad people. It is not because the soul in them is different. It is because of these four items, Mana, Buddhi, Ahankar and Chitta are different and different people. And that is why. But the soul which resides in them is same. The soul doesn't have any connection with the behavior, with the kindness or cruelty in any individual. The soul in everyone is exactly same. So we can say that if a lion is killing a deer, but still the soul in the deer and the soul in the lion is exactly same. It does not have any connection with the physical body. It doesn't have any connection with the subtle body. So that is why God is telling us that the soul is beyond this. The soul is imperishable and immutable. It is not mutable. It cannot be mutated. It cannot be changed. So even though we see good and bad people, it is not connected to the soul. It is connected to the Ahankar. It is connected to the Ahankar. The ego, which has created us. When we say me, that me is Ahankar. But the soul is beyond it. Nirvanashtakam is great. It is really good. It is explaining us what an Atma is. It is a very good thing to chant. If somebody gets a time, please go through it. You will find it on internet also. And you can also find how to chant it. So we should chant it. Then it gives us a clear understanding. When the more we chant it, the more we get an understanding of it, that what we are soul. And we are not all these things. We are not related to, we are not mother or father, or we are not a friend. What we are. Aham nirvikalpo nirakara rupo. Yeah. So we are not taking it here, but it is extremely important that what we are to understand. Nirvanashtakam has been created by Adi Shankaracharya. It's a great thing to chant it every day. So because of the different ego and not different soul, we will take this ego, and we are going to talk about this ego later on in our chapters when the sloka comes. But basically because of that we are different. That is, because of that we are good or bad people. But the soul is continuous. So again it comes to the same thing, is that when we say that we are continuous, we are not mutable, we are imperishable, the fear of future, the fear of death, the fear of suffering will go away, because we understand ourselves beyond the body and beyond the subtle body. So we'll go to the 22nd sloka now again. So what we have until understood is that the qualities of Atma, what it is. It is imperishable, it is eternal, it is unborn, it is immutable, it cannot be killed, it cannot kill other Atmas. It is ever existing. It cannot be defined on the basis of the time scale. Now this looks like very conceptual item. To understand it in a more better way, God explains much further in the next sloka in our daily life experience. So I will chant the 22nd sloka of the second chapter. Again, the chanda is changing here, so the chanting method is changing here. Vasansi jirnani yatha vihaya navani gruhyati naro parani tatha sharirani vihaya jirna nannani sanyati navani dehi. Yeah. God has explained us in our real day life, because God knows that this is a conceptual life. It is difficult for us to understand. So God has explained us further. Vasansi jirnani yatha vihaya. Vasansi, the garments, the clothes which we wear. Vasansi jirnani, the clothes which we wear, jirnani, worn out, yatha vihaya, and shades. Navani gruhyati. Gruhyati, except. What do we do? When the clothes, the garments which we wear are worn out, and it starts vihaya, shades, then a person, naroparani, guhyati naroparani, accepts a new clothes. Just like when our clothes are worn out, they are torn, they shed, then we wear new clothes. We remove the old clothes and we wear the new clothes. Tatha sharirani vihaya jirnaha. In the same way, when the body becomes jirna, jirna means worn out. Nanyani sanyati navani dehi. Na anyani. Anyani means other. Sanyati means enters. Sanyati. So, when the body goes worn out, when the body gets worn out, it becomes torn. The Atma enters the new embodied soul. Atma enters. We will understand how the Atma is entering. But here, the first part is Vasansi jirnani yathave. Just like our clothes are torn out and we wear the new clothes, when the body gets torn out, the Atma goes to the other body. This is a perfect example of showing the relationship of eternal and mortal. Eternal soul and mortal body. So let us understand why this example is given and what is the relationship of us with the clothes which we wear. So number one is that it is residing and not part of the body. Just like clothes cover our body, but it is not the part of our body. In the same way, the soul is residing in our body, but it is not part of our body. Just like clothes are covering our body, but clothes are not part of our body. It is covered with perishable, but not still connected. Like tearing of a clothes. Suppose our clothes are torn. In that case, it will not pain us. It is not stopping the existence of us. So in the same way, if some part of the body is damaged, say for example, unfortunately somebody meets with an accident and they lose one of the limb, the Atma doesn't get cut. It is not that suppose there is 100% Atma in the body and suppose one hand is cut off or the limb is cut off. That means some part of the Atma has gone. No, it does not happen that way, as we know already. Because it is not part of the body. It is just residing in the body. And just like different colors and shapes and size of the clothes, in the same way, there are different bodies. Even in humans, there are different color, different type of genetic combinations, and they give different shapes and size of the body. But the soul is not connected with what is the shape and size. Extending this thought, it goes beyond humans, it goes into animals, it goes into fish, the birds. Whatever is the form of the body, it doesn't connect, it doesn't relate, because it is just residing. Just like out of a cloth, a different shape and size and color, dresses can be made. But whoever is wearing it is not part of that cloth. In the same way, the soul is not part of the body. Also, the clothes are consumed. The clothes even has a life cycle. It is created and it is destroyed. It gets worn out. But the soul does not. So just like the clothes go in and out, but our body remains same. In the same way, the body will keep on changing, but the soul will remain same. Soul will just sanyati, enter, navani dehi, in the new body, the soul will enter. Clothes are consumed and it has a life cycle. Clothes get dirty and it can be cleaned. So our body will keep on changing. Somebody say, oh, so a soul in a small boy and a small in an elderly person is same because the body is growing. So does the soul grow with the body? No, it does not. It does not have any connection with whatever shape, size and the age of the body. Because it is just residing in it, it may be a new body or an old body, the existence of the soul remains same. It does not increase or decrease with the body. Just like the clothes does not increase or decrease. Yeah, we wear bigger clothes, but still it is not part of the body. We replace them when they are torn and unusable. When we replace them, when we lose the interest in it. Yeah. So, when we lose the interest, some people say that, oh, my clothes are still not torn, my clothes are still good. But you know what? It is an old fashion. Now I want to change it. That happens to the soul also. When the soul says that there is enough, what is called as this is enough, then the soul will try to change. So, see, we have seen the example in life when the doctors are telling that we are doing all the medicines, we are trying all the science to the person who is sick, but the patient is not responding. The patient is not helping. How a patient is not helping? Because patient has lost. Patient does not want to live any further. So any medicine given to the patient will not work. When the soul decides that I want to go away, the body will not work. One of the major reasons of having cancer is called as the hypertension. When somebody is emotionally, psychologically, too much going through the trauma, it impacts their body. They fall sick. Even in normal sense, or normal life also, when we are worried, when we are having some urgent things to handle, our digestion system doesn't work properly. It gets disturbed because we are in tension, because we are having we are having some worries in our mind, and so our body does not work. So this is a clear-cut example that when the soul goes from one body to the other body, when the body is torn, the body is not usable. In the same way, when there is a tension and hypertension, when we see that the soul starts throwing away the body, the loss of hope and the zeal to live is lost, then the soul tries to leave the body and the person falls sick with various diseases. But if we say that I am not the body, but I am the soul which is ever existence, then the depression, then the worry will go. When this worries, the hypertension and the depression will go, which is the cause of all the trouble, then we will be happy ever. So, rather than we understand ourselves as a clothes which we are wearing, we understand ourselves as a person who is wearing the clothes. Going by the same analogy, the Atma is wearing the body. So even if the body goes in or goes, even if the body is perishing, the Atma will take another body. When we understand the continuity, imperishability, immutability of the soul, our worries will go. This is the perfect example of how to live worryless, how not to have any worry in our mind throughout the life, because we are clearly understanding that our body is not us. Just like when a cloth is torn, we are not worried about, oh, the cloth is torn. We always wear the another cloth. In the same way, when we are, whenever we are having any tension, whenever we have got any hypertension or any worries or like that, rather than worrying about, because it is connected to the body, think that or understand that I am the soul. Now somebody will say that how can we understand it? There will be so many questions coming. So should I not worry about the education of my child? Should I not worry about making a good earning bread and butter? Otherwise, how will I be able to live in a comfortable life? Yeah, definitely there will be questions. Just like we take care of the clothes, we have to take care of our body. Don't abuse the body. Don't overeat. Don't go into drugs or any bad habits. It has to be taken care. Just like the clothes. But again, just like the clothes. Because we are not the body. Take care of it as a part of the clothes, as what we take as a clothes. But do not consider yourself as a body, and so the tension will be gone. That is the method how to become a tensionless person. So today we have seen the properties and qualities, characteristic behavior of a soul, and how it prevails. That is what we saw. And how it should be considered with relation to the mortal body. That is what we discussed today in the sloka up to 22nd sloka of chapter 2. We are already 1 hour now, it's 11 o'clock. So we will go through more slokas again next Saturday between 10 to 11 when we come, and we will meet and we will see what the 23rd sloka onwards God tried to explain us about the Atma, the soul, and the body, because that was the worry of the Arjuna in the chapter 1. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Para Brahma Tasmai Sri Guruve